Hello everybody, and welcome back to Battlegrounds Game Center. I am Patrick, and today we're taking a look at a very exciting release for Conquest, The Last Arguments of Kings. This is the brand new faction, the Yoroni. This is the first wave that we just got into the store, so we're going to take a look at all these models, what they look like, and probably build a few, show you off the models fully built. And I also have a model already built and painted, and I will show you that at the very end of the video. But first, let's go ahead and take a look at this first release wave for the Yoroni. So the first two boxes here are characters that can lead a regiment. Now you have the Ayubun and the Daimyo. The cool thing about this faction, though, is typically in Conquest, only certain characters can lead certain units. But with the Yoroni, they have these things called modular units, so you can actually mix and match all of these different unit types together, and they start at just 2 models, and they're all brutes, and you can mix and match, like you can have some of the flyy guys with some of the big dudes. So there's a lot of flexibility with list building with the Yoroni, and their rules in general are just really cool. Once we get into one of these boxes, I'll show you their command cards, which are a little different than you might be used to. So let's go ahead and look at the Oyabun here real quick. So let's go ahead and get this guy open. Now these, I believe, are dual kits, so it could be the Oyabun or the Daimyo. But I got 2 of them here because I want to have both characters in the army. It is a very limited range at the moment. They're doing multiple waves. This is the first wave, and then they're doing some more at the end of April, and then the final bit, I think, is going to be in May, and then they have some more for the future, like their big monsters, which are these giant yokai that look really awesome. So we have the spruce here in their nice dark gray plastic. So these characters are plastic, not resin, and I believe this is just the alternate build options here for the Daimyo or the Ayubun. So we'll get one of these or both of these built up, and we'll show them at the very end of the video. Got the instructions, of course. Conquest instructions are relatively simple. Their models are pretty easy to build. And of course you have your bases. This is a rank and file game, so you'll put them on the circular bases. They can go in here. They have that, though, because they have a skirmish version of the game which just uses circular bases. So that's really cool. And again, this whole army is a brute army, so all the models are on these bigger bases, the brute size bases, cavalry size bases, and then when the monsters come out, they'll be on a bigger base for that. But there aren't any small bases in this, which is really interesting. Another interesting thing, though, is you'll notice these do not look like your typical command cards, which would have the unit picture and unit name on them. These are ideal cards, which will make up your command stack based off the models you have and everything. You can kind of pick and choose which ones you want, because as you play these, you can actually choose which regiment you want to have go, instead of having a forced go for like whatever is on the top of the stack. You know, if I drew this for the Wadroon, it was the Apex Predator, that would have to go. However, if I just draw this Fu card, I can use it on any of the regiments I want. But the benefit is if you use a specific ideal card on a unit that has a specific ideal, they get bonuses. So there's a lot of flexibility on playing with this faction. So, and you get a bunch of these in the character. Like you get all 4. I think there might be one more, but you get 4 types there, and all the boxes are going to have a bunch. So you'll have a nice amount of these to play with. So that is the Oyabun. So we're not going to open the Daimyo just because that is going to be the exact same sprue. So they're always dual kits. So next we're going to take a look at the Tengu Bushi, which can also be a dual kit into the Tengu Ariakashi. So again, we're only going to open one of these to take a look at it, since they're both the same kit. They just have different boxes. So we'll look at the Tengu Bushi, which are like the assassin bird demons. You can build them as ranged combatants, or you can build them with swords. So, and if you have the ones with the swords, they have like the Vanguard keyword, so they can kind of infiltrate early into the map. Got your bases here, and then you have 2 different sprues. Again, there's the bows there. You got the swords. They have different head options. I'll probably end up building them all with like the cool hats and everything instead of just having their heads. But there's the 2 different sprues. We of course have the instructions here. There's 3 different models in each kit, since it's a brute unit. And then, of course, we have some ideal cards. And you actually get 2 food cards with this, because I would guess that they're specifically Fu ideal. Very cool. So that is the Tengu Bushi. Next, we have the Kami Ayakashi. So these are the big sumo wrestler demon Oni. Very cool. So these guys are the big brutes of the army. I mean, the whole army's brutes, but these are bigger brutes. So you got a few different sprue options here. And again, it's going to build 3 different models. They're pretty chunky. You can see how big they're going to be. So, but you got 3 different sprues. And of course, they have 2 different cards. It's kind of interesting that they have 2 of the chi cards, even though it's just 1. But another cool thing about this is normally when you do a unit, it's, especially with brutes, it's 3 to a unit or a regiment. With the Yoroni, you can have a minimum of 2. You can have a leader, and then you can have an extra one, and you can kind of, again, you can mix and match them. And then depending on who the leader is for the regiment, they'll have additional rules. So if these guys are leading that specific unit, then even if there's a kappa or a tengu, a part of that unit, they get access to their special rule, which is really cool. But then you get 2 cards, so if you want to split the units up, if you get multiple boxes, then you can. And then there are the instructions. Very cool. Again, we're going to build at least 1 model from each of these kits to kind of show them off at the very end of the video here. And then my favorite box is the regular old Oni Ayakashi. So these are just your, I guess you could say, generic Oni demon, but I really like the way they look. So they're definitely my favorite out of all of these. I think my second favorite would probably be the Kami, the big sumo wrestlers. However, my favorite that is coming is the Ghost models. I don't remember their names exactly, but they have, they're like floating samurai armor with scrolls and stuff, and they're huge. Those are absolutely my favorite out of all of the Yoroni. And then probably behind that would be like the different yokai and stuff that are coming, which they've shown off like the renders of, but we haven't seen the models yet. And I would assume they're not coming until either later this year or maybe at the beginning of next year. But we do have some big monsters coming. I believe 3 in total. Well, 4 in total, because it's 2 different types of yokai, and then there's 2 different types of, I don't remember the name. I don't remember the name. It's like a spider lady, geisha lady. It's really cool too. But you got your bases, and then of course your sprues. So I like Conquest's layout with sprues. They're relatively easy to find, everything you need. They're numbered and lettered, which is really cool. And then 2 more cards for Ka. And of course, our build sheet. Just a few pages, very easy to build. So those are the boxes I have. What we're going to do now is I'm going to get at least 1 model for each of these guys built, so we can take a look at the models in their whole glory. Unfortunately, I won't have them painted for this, but eventually they will be. And if you're interested in checking out some Conquest on the channel, we just recently started doing battle reports for it, so I'll have that linked at the top of the screen right now for you to check out. Matt and Kyle did a really fun game of the Wadroon versus 100 Kingdoms, so please check that out. And then we will be doing a Yoroni against some faction at some point here soon, once I get these built and painted up for you. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at the models now. Okay, so I've gotten a few of the models built here. I did 1 of each of the different boxes. The only one I didn't do was the other Tengu with the bow, since they're essentially the same model, just one has a bow, one has a sword. So we're going to take a look at them. They were relatively easy to build, so I have the Daimyo here. This was probably the easiest one. It's just, you know, you put the legs together, the torso together, and you got the weapon and head. Very chunky models. I mean, it is a brute army, so they are going to be a little bit bigger. But I'm very excited to start painting these. And the cool thing is, like, maybe 20-ish models is 2,000 points, which is pretty awesome. So it's a really low cost entry type of army, which is always good to see. But so there's the Daimyo. Then we have the Tengu Bushi. So this is the leader variant of it. So it has this flag and a different helmet. It's got its sword. This one was a little bit more complicated to put together because it had more armor pieces and stuff that I had to attach. But they fit together decently well, and everything, for the most part, lined up. We've got the Oyabun, which is the other character, which is the same body as the Daimyo. The big difference, though, is the head and the weapon. and arms. So the weapon is facing forward. Got the big club. I don't remember what the name of that club is, but he's got the pipe, which I think is pretty cool. The top knot. Very, very detailed models, and they are going to be fun to paint, I think. In fact, I actually already did a painting video for one of these models, which I'm going to show off at the end of the video here. So if you want to check that out, you can check on our shorts, on short videos on our channel. So next we've got the Oni, the regular old Oni. These guys are really cool. They have a lot of dynamic poses, a few different head options, weapon options. It also had some armor paneling and some little pieces that you had to put on, but was not too bad. Very fun build. So now we have the Kami. Now these guys are awesome. I mean, they're just big sumo wrestling demons. But I will tell you, building these was probably the hardest out of all of them. Mainly because there's a lot of layers to it. So like you have its stomach, it has multiple pieces for the stomach, the back, you have to like build the back and the legs first, and you got to line up the lower regions and then the top. And there's just a lot more pieces with this one. But it did come out really well. I really like the look of these models, and this is just one of the different poses. I might actually get another box of these. I wasn't sure if I was going to like them when I first saw them, but I think once I get them painted up in the way that I want, I think I'm going to really love these guys, and they're just huge and chunky. Okay, so that is all the different models for the Yoroni built. Again, this army is an elite army, so it's just a bunch of brutes, and you can actually mix and match them, so you can kind of get an idea when you're building your forces. You'll have different Oni that can be mixed and matched. The only stipulation is whoever the leader Oni is, you have to have more of that than any of the other Oni that are part of the regiment, so keep that in mind as you're list building, but very cool. I'm probably going to glue them to their square bases. I know you can play First Blood and stuff, but this army I'm probably going to just stick to the rank and flank style. And then they do have a one-player starter coming soon, so maybe I'll consider just keeping that as a First Blood variant. But I did want to show off a model I did. So this is the Kitsune that came out last month. This is their Artisan series. It is a resin model. That we got a little bit early, kind of like a nice little taster for the Yoroni early on, a month ahead of time. So I was able to get it, build it, paint it. This is the video I did on the channel, so if you want to see the process that I took to paint it, you can go on the channel, take a look at that. But I was pretty happy with how this turned out. I don't really work with resin that often, so it was, I don't want to say a challenge, it was just a new experience for me. But it wasn't too bad because a lot of these pieces are just like single pieces that you just, you super glue together and you're good. The only hard part I had was probably her hair. Was a little difficult to line up, and I probably didn't need to put as many little foxes on, but they do look cool in the long run. So I am pretty happy with how she turned out. I even tried my hand at some freehand script. I was definitely not trying to do any accurate symbols. So that's just scribbles, but I think I like the way it turned out. So, okay, so that is a first look at the Yoroni army, brand new army for Conquest, the Last Argument of Kings. This is the first wave. There'll be a second wave at the end of the month and then another wave in May and so on. So they got quite a few more models coming. Maybe we'll take a look at them as they come out. I do plan on doing some battle reports with this army real soon. I'm going to get it painted up as soon as I can. I have a few people lined up to play some games for the channel. And if you're interested in checking out a Conquest video that we've already done, you can go ahead and click the link at the top of the screen or at the end of the video. Again, Matt and Kyle did an awesome job playing a game, and it was a lot of fun to watch, a lot of fun to put together. So please go ahead and check that out. But if you enjoy this content and you want to see more like it, please go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate it. And until next time, I'm Patrick at Battlegrounds Game Center. See you later.